Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, still blasting through with all the reviews I need to catch up on because oh my god, there were so many songs released in such rapid succession and they're still coming thick and fast today as well. But today, well, for this particular review we're talking about Azerbaijan, just one of many songs that was revealed very recently, at the same time as Poland, funnily enough, but with this one, we didn't know anything about it beforehand, whereas with Poland, the song had technically already been released. I don't know. As I said earlier, it's like tossing a coin, seeing if I can get these out in the right order, but hey, in the grand scheme of things, who cares apart from me? Anyway, so Azerbaijan told us basically nothing for the entire season, like they've been even more quiet than usual, and then, out of the blue, we had a trailer, and then after that trailer, we learned that they would be represented by one Chingiz Mustafayev and the song Truth, which is fully in English, music and lyrics by Chingiz himself, as well as Borislav Milanov, Trey Campbell of Equinox fame, Pablo Dinero, Hostess, and Bo J. I feel like that might be short for Joachim Bo Person, but I can't confirm that. He's just credited as Bo J, or she. If it is Joachim Bo Person, then it's a he. I don't know. There's a lot of names in that list of credits, and they sure did write a song together, and you can kind of tell that Trey Campbell was involved. I mean that in a good way, but as ever, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start the review. As I hinted at just now, Azerbaijan is usually another one of those countries that tends to keep quiet for most of the season, but in a loud sort of way. Like, they usually at least tease us with something fairly early on, whether it's a selection to pick just the singer, or like a name or a date or something, but no. All we had to go on this year was just radio silence until very, very recently, where they hit us upside the head with a very short trailer that told us very little. And yet, it filled me with hope that we were about to get something that was going to turn heads. Now it's all out in the open, and pretty much, yeah, Azerbaijan is evidently reeling from their non-qualification last year, so they're out for blood, so to speak, this year. This is the usual pedigree of strong song that we're used to from the Land of Fire, and not to brag, but I kind of predicted this back when I did a Patreon video about their strategy. More information in the iCard, of course, but enough about me. Let's talk about me and my thoughts on Chingiz and his song. To be honest, the first thing that comes to mind isn't the most hyper-obvious, and that's what I would usually start this segment of the review with, but no, I want to begin by shouting out the absolute catharsis this song has embedded in its main hook in the refrain. This song looks us dead in the eye and shouts, "Shut up about it!" And oh my goodness, that is so satisfying! If nothing else, it's something that quite a few pockets of the Eurovision fandom need to have screamed in their faces like this. But even that aside, even with no particular target in mind, it's just such a liberating refrain to have that level of power to tell someone and know that you're in the right, that they need to shut up, says the very verbose reviewer on YouTube. Hey, I mean, you clicked on this video, it's your problem. Anyway, the more obvious thing that I was going to mention was the power in this song's instrumentation. Like, it's a really clever balancing act between a strong and compelling beat with interesting percussive choices, a consistent atmosphere created and maintained by the various synths, and the inclusion of more traditional influences that heavily demarcate this as distinctly being Azerbaijan's song and Azerbaijan's property. Like, you can really tell that Trey Campbell was on the team behind this song, but that doesn't overtake the fact that this is still Chingiz's song for Azerbaijan, and that's incontrovertibly good. Also, the story the song presents, while nothing new in and of itself necessarily, brings a slightly less common take to the table, and I'm on board with that. This isn't just a song about the fallout of a messy breakup, we're actually getting a really interesting, really insightful inner monologue from the point of view of a guy who's made one too many mistakes before and he wants to sort himself out, but he knows his own weaknesses. I don't really have time to get into the full nitty-gritty of that here and now, but take my word for it, it's clever and comparatively unique, if nothing else because it involves a relatively tough-presenting guy being open about his feelings and his internal conflicts, and people tend not to talk about that much these days, so yeah, fairly uncommon, but in a good way. And in closing, I absolutely have to praise Chingiz's voice as a whole. He brings a lot of variety into this song, further bolstering the strength of the composition in itself, since he's got the not quite falsetto in the refrain whilst singing most of the song in chest voice, but delivering the whole thing with plausibility and conviction throughout from start to end. He utterly owns this song, and he's more than won me over with it, quite frankly. Still, there's no such thing as a song that everybody loves without exception, no matter what Latvia might try to tell you in 2012. One thought I did have in taking this song in is that the music video, whilst very artistic and inspired, is a bit on the chaotic side. Now, I'm not about to criticise him for undressing and diving into water as if that somehow makes this completely different song a plagiarism of the Netherlands, because seriously, why are some Eurovision fans so stupid as to be attacking this song for such an illogical, nonsensical, made-up out of nowhere reason? It's just water, people! Calm down! My concern is that if the music video is this overstuffed with imagery and ideas, I worry that his live staging might lack focus. It might try too many different things at once, which would detract from the song itself. Of course, I'm me. I may well be worrying over nothing. I just worry that we might have some kind of, like, skeletons with the ladder and the chalk and the horse's head crossed with the whatever it was that Equinox had in 2018 for Bulgaria. If it's that sort of thing, it might lose focus somehow, so they need to be careful with the live staging. Meanwhile, though, there is the small matter of the bridge of the song towards the end, with the deeply pitched down vocals. I don't know how they intend to replicate that live, to be honest. It could be that there's a preset in the venue's sound system to enable live vocals to be pitched down in the moment, but if so, that's dangerously close to having auto-tuning built into the microphones, and that's definitely not allowed. He might just do something different with that part of the song in general, like, I don't know, sing the vocals in his normal voice and not worrying about changing them. I still don't entirely know how I feel about that part anyway, because I like it in the context of this music and, like, this whole style, but at the same time, I kind of have a weird thing about vocals that have been messed with that much. Well, whatever. Pitching vocals up is definitely a lot worse to my ears, but I know that's just me being me. In any case, one thing that I absolutely admit, despite the satisfying nature of the song's refrain, I do think that because of the way the song is structured, the song does begin to feel a bit repetitive by the time you reach the final minute. Like, it's really not that egregious at first, and it's definitely not bad by the end, but if you don't have much patience for this song, and your mileage may vary, then that refrain might begin to wear thin by the time you get to the closing minute. In that case, at least, it's going to vary from person to person, and that is valid. Some people won't hear it at all, some people will feel, oh god, how can you listen to this, it's the same thing, and some people will be in between. Honestly, it's just down to you. For now, though, to distill my thoughts into a number that anyone could understand, I give this song a personal 10 out of 10. This was love at first listen for me. This is absolutely the sort of thing that I would enjoy listening to anyway, so that helped, but I also appreciate the inclusion of influences that make the song sound like it belongs to Azerbaijan specifically, since they have kind of been going through something of an identity crisis lately. And, of course, there's pleasure to be derived from taking this song and using the "shut up about it" as a mental defense against whenever I see comments declaring that so-and-so country is the real winner of this year's contest, or whatever. God, the fandom may be toxic, but nothing burns quite like the Land of Fire, boy I tell you. And on my more rational side, meanwhile, maybe I've been blinded by my personal opinions, but on careful consideration, I give this a technical 10 out of 10 as well. As I already said, this isn't some faceless mystery meat song sold off to the highest bidder, it's got distinctly Azerbaijani flair. On top of that, it's got that driving beat with varied percussion that's just fun to listen to, a good mix of vocal styles from a very talented and proficient singer, and it's just overall an interesting song. I don't want the 10 out of 10 score to be unattainable by any means, so I think this is another case where, while I won't deny that there are some shortcomings depending on your perspective, I don't think those shortcomings are significant enough to merit reducing that score from a 10. So, bravo Azerbaijan, and congratulations on the perfect 20 out of 20. So, is this a step up for Azerbaijan then? Well, I mean, if we're comparing directly to last year, then no offense to ICEL, but absolutely yes. While there's not much different in their methods this year specifically as far as how they went about selecting their singer and song, I think there's been some positive restructuring in the why and the what that they're looking for in their chosen song. As I've discussed before, several songs in Azerbaijan's history seem dedicated to outsourcing talents from other countries and trying to disguise or downplay their own identity. This song doesn't exactly put its Azerbaijanness front and centre, but you can still tell that it's there. There is still some national pride here, and, most crucially, they're not pretending to be something they're not. They're not taking an artist of one style and telling them to fit into a different box just to put across a certain image or anything like that, and that's good. Europe can spot a fake from a mile away. But will this song get Azerbaijan back into the final after their temporary blip from last year? I would say so. I do think that last year was a one-off special case caused by a miscalculation or two rather than the new norm. I think everything that went down in Lisbon served as a major learning experience that really compounded a lot of data that the Azeri delegation were already aware of, and this is kind of like part 2 of their investigation into what makes a bolder and more effective Eurovision strategy. Azerbaijan is out for glory and for the gold. They're just trying to work out how best to go about doing that. And I think they expect this to pay off dividends, proving to them that this is more the direction they should be taking with their entries as opposed to the knockoff Scandipop of recent years. And if that's their mindset, I think they're right to be expecting it to make a return on them. This song has power, their singer has charisma, and overall, I heavily anticipate hearing it again in Saturday's lineup. But that's just me, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit in love with this song. What about you? Of course, your opinions are just as valid as mine, and your opinions are just as valid as the next person to comment and the previous one, and so on and so on. You know the deal. iCard, comments, talk to me, let me know how you feel. Do you like the song? Do you not like the song? Do you not feel that strongly about it? I feel like people who feel neutral don't get enough credit in the Eurovision fandom because people are so busy being polarised. If you don't feel heavily one way or the other, that's fine too. So talk to me. In the meantime though, while you're typing out your thoughts, if you choose to do that, I will say to Chingiz and to the whole Azerbaijani delegation, I wish you the very best of luck in Tel Aviv because, well, I for one will probably be voting for this song and I hope you get the result you deserve. See you in May.